Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled to be with a Raleigh local here. I'm actually sitting across from her right now, which we're thrilled. We were just talking about, we were so happy to do this, but I've got Meg Sangimino here with me. If you do not follow her, she is Raleigh on a Budget on Instagram. And I love this because she is showing, the best, greatest in what is going on in Raleigh. So Meg, thank you so much for being here with me
Oh my
today.
gosh, thank you for having me. It is
Yes.
really cool recording in person here.
Yes.
And we're in a really cool spot, so.
We are in a really cool spot. We're at the house in downtown Raleigh, which is where I've been recording a lot of episodes, but this is it. We're doing this at night too. So this is the first time. I was
Yeah.
just telling her that I've been here at nighttime doing this.
Very moody. I like it a lot.
The lighting
Yeah,
and
it's like
everything.
perfect.
Yes, yes. I first want to just jump into your Raleigh story, how you came to Raleigh. Were you born here? What's your story there?
Yeah, sure. So no, I was not born here.
Okay.
I've been here for, math, about 3 years, almost 3 years, I think.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm like relatively new, which
Okay.
I think shocks a lot of people since I run like an account that's all about Raleigh.
I love it.
But that's part of the reason why I started it. So I was born in Pittsburgh,
Okay.
born and raised and grew up and everything. And then I moved to Washington, D.C. after college, and I lived there for 5 years.
Okay.
And then pandemic hit. It was a little bit of a classic story.
Lovely time.
Right. Beautiful time.
Yeah.
Everything shut down. It became the town that I lived in outside of DC became like a ghost town.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I didn't even feel safe there anymore. And so I moved back in with my parents for like 2 or 3 months. And I actually was going to move to Charleston.
Oh, beautiful place too.
I had never been there.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to go visit. I think that's like where I want to move next. I worked remote at the time. I was like, I'll just go see. And then I drove through Raleigh on the way to Charleston. And I just never made it to Charleston. I just fell in love with Raleigh and I signed a lease that weekend. And I moved like completely by myself. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know a single person that lived in North Carolina. And I just like came back to Pennsylvania and I was like, sorry, mom and dad, I'm moving to Raleigh. That's what I did. That was May of 21. So I guess it's been like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Math is hard.
Yeah, math is hard. That was May of 21. So in May of 24, it'll be
it's
3
almost
years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But I love that you like literally were driving through here and you're like, nope, we're not going any farther than this right here.
Yeah. And I actually have a pretty crazy story for when I stopped in Raleigh.
Go ahead, tell it.
On the way to Charleston. Okay. So my plan was to stop in Raleigh for like 2 nights because it's a long drive from Pittsburgh to Charleston. It would have been like 10 or 12 hours probably. And so I was like, I'll stop in Raleigh and I'll like see Raleigh and then I'll go to Charleston. So I stayed in this Airbnb and I booked this Airbnb in downtown. Again, I'd never been here. So I was like, I'll just stay in like the downtown area. I get there and it's locked and I can't get in. And the Airbnb host, I messaged them and they're like, I don't rent out my house for Airbnb anymore. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
And I sent them my confirmation and they were like, that's a mistake on Airbnb's end. Like, I'm so sorry, but you can't stay here. So I went to what I now know is Raleigh Times. Yeah. Right on, it's not on Fayetteville Street, but it's close.
Yes.
And I remember I got a margarita. I cried in Raleigh Times. And the staff there was so nice to me. They gave me like free tacos and they like chatted with me and I called Airbnb and I like advocated for myself. And then Airbnb put me up in like a nice house in the historical district.
Okay.
Probably like not far from here. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but they put me in like a house there. It was really nice. It was old, right? So like there's things with old houses, but it was super cute. It was walkable. I was like, this is great. Okay. A little snafu, but whatever. So then I wake up, I go out downtown in Raleigh and I go to open the door of my bedroom and the doorknob falls off and I'm locked. I can't even make this up, Danielle. I'm locked in this room in a city that I've never been in and I don't know anyone in the state. And I luckily had my phone, like calling people. I'm like, what do I do? I'm trying to like break out of this room. So I shit you not.
Oh my.
I climb out the window.
Oh my God.
I scale the side of the house into a bush. And then I walk around and there's like all these neighbors looking and they're like, do you need help? And I'm like, I just got locked into this Airbnb. Luckily they knew it was an Airbnb. So they knew I wasn't like breaking into this
Totally.
house. Anyway, the Airbnb host was super nice about it. And like, it was all fine. And I think the reason I wanted to move here is because everything that could have gone wrong in Raleigh went wrong. And everyone still was like so nice.
Totally.
Because I remember going to Sir Walter that morning, telling like the baristas about this story. And they were like, I was coming from DC. People in DC are not nice. So anyway, that's my story. A little long-winded, but
welcome to Raleigh.
Yeah. Welcome. It was all uphill from there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's like the 24 hours. Like you hear those stories every once in a while, but like to actually be like, hear it from you.
And then for the end of that story to be, and then I moved there.
Yeah. Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
And I've been here ever since.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. I can envision you scaling.
I think it was pretty impressive from what I remember. I just like scaled that wall. I mean, I did like I remember falling into a bush. I remember getting a little cut up.
Was it like you were up?
I was on the second floor. Yeah. It wasn't a super tall house.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like maybe like 7 feet off the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember thinking like, that's about this height of like my dad. Okay. Right there. I'm not going to die if I fall. But if I did, no one could do anything because I don't know anyone here. So I'm
going to die right here in this bush.
in this foreign city
that I know nobody. Okay. Leading into the creation of Raleigh on a Budget. You're here. You moved here. You're not dead in the bush. Why start Raleigh on a Budget? What made you kind of kick that platform off?
Yeah. So let's see. I moved here and it was about the same time that I quit my full-time job.
Okay.
And I went fully into my own business. I was freelancing for a little while. And so I was on a very tight budget. Yeah. And so I was in this new city. I wanted to explore places. I didn't have any friends. And I was like, I need to figure out ways that I can explore without like spending a ton of money. You know, like I could go out for drinks every night or like get coffee and like whatever. I also was dating at the time. And so I was like going out and meeting people and stuff. And so I was like, I like content creation. I like social media. I've always liked being creative. So what if I just started one of those accounts that just like recommends things to people and that asks people what they like and everything. And so I started Raleigh on a Budget and it was so fun. Like I seriously had so much fun. I think the most fun I've had is when I had like 100 to 200 followers because it was kind of absolute 100%. It was the same experience I had whenever I came here and fell into that bush where like everyone was nice. Like I started this account. No one called me an influencer. No one cared. They were just like, oh, cool. That sounds like a cool park. Yeah. That looks like a good latte. Yeah. And I was like, oh, people here are so nice. And so I just kind of kept doing it. And it started to grow around Halloween last year. Okay. Because I started in August last year. It's not really that old. Yeah. It's like a little over a year old. And around Halloween last year, I posted about that house. I can't remember what street it's on. It's that house that does all the Halloween decorations. They got robbed this year. What? Yeah. But I can't remember. It's like this guy.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
He has like 2 U-Hauls full of Halloween decorations and he puts them out. It's like in Oakwood. I posted about that house and it was the first post that went like super viral. And so I started gaining traction and that's kind of how the ball got rolling. Yeah.
Do you like the title of influencer or content creator?
I don't mind content creator because that's like a very literal
I'm the same way
term. Yeah. I'm like, I create content. You can call me, like I'm a pasta eater. I'm a drinker of coffee. Yeah. Influencer, I don't like. And I think like most influencers probably would say that.
I agree.
People dubbed influencer. Yeah. Because, well, I'd love to hear why you don't like it.
I don't like it because I feel like we've created this vision in our society of what an influencer is. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I want to be. That's not what I want to be in the community. Like my thing has always been about creating a community of people. And I'm not saying that people aren't as influencers doing that, but I feel like I'm not influencing people to buy things, to do things, to whatever it may be. I'm creating a community of people that if you want to go and like you are, check out something in Raleigh, check it out. But it's not, to me, I'm like, I can't. I cringe when I get they're like influencer. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I feel like influencer is a word that someone just like said one day and it just caught on. And then like we're all kind of looking back on it and we're like, that's not a very good like description.
Yeah.
I think content creator is a pretty good description.
I agree.
I think anyone who creates content is a content creator.
Yes.
The reason that influencer makes me really uncomfortable, and I actually said this in a comment once, because a food post that I posted one time went like a little viral-ish. And someone was like, oh, what did they say? It was like a little nasty. It wasn't too bad, but it was like, this is the worst recommendation ever. And she claims to be an influencer. And I commented back and I said, I never claimed to be an influencer. I never claimed to influence anyone.
Yeah.
Like there's just a list of things that I like.
Totally.
I think when we say like, oh, okay, you're an influencer if you have more than X amount of followers.
Yes.
It's kind of like saying you're cool if you have more friends. Like just because you're more popular doesn't mean that you know more. It doesn't mean that you're more influential. The most influential people in my life probably aren't even on social media.
Yes.
Or like aren't posting a lot or anything, you know? So when people ask me for like recommendation, like I would say I'm a recommender.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. I'm a recommender, things that I like. Someone came up to me.
Can we get that as the Instagram? You know how you can choose which title you have? Can we get that as one of the titles? Can we make a petition? I'm a recommender.
I'm a recommender.
I like it.
Honestly, I think that's way better.
You got to get the little hand motion to at the end of it.
This right here.
Right there. Yep.
Someone came up to me in public once, asked me like, because they recognized me, and they were like, "What's your favorite restaurant in Raleigh?" And I was like, "I don't know. I am not a food expert by any means." I've told people this all the time. I don't know that I've ever gone to a restaurant and not recommended it. I am not a picky eater. I'm not the person to ask. I will just go to a place and be like, these dumplings were dank, and then post about them. I am not like a foodie, which is another word that makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Because what is a foodie? Aren't we all food? Aren't humans, animals, foodies?
I love it. I love it. Like,
it's my new tagline. We're all foodies.
We're all foodies.
And none of us are.
And recommender. I agree with you though. I feel like, well, and now it kind of is tricky because Twitter, you can go and buy the blue check mark, or Instagram, you can go and do the same. So it used to be you had to hit this milestone to have the fancy things and get the check marks and all this. But now you can pay $4.99 for it.
Yeah.
And have the check mark. And it's like somebody who has 2,000 followers can now have a blue check mark, where it used to be you had to have 100,000 followers.
Is that what it was?
I think so. 30,000, something like that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I honestly
I'm that old on social media.
Well, no, I am definitely that old too. And I just don't remember. I don't know if I think I have a problem with both of those things. Like there being a bar, I do remember there being an Instagram feature. I'm not on Twitter, but I remember there being an Instagram feature. I can't remember what it was, that you couldn't have it until you had 10,000 followers. What was it?
I think it was Link. It was the swipe up.
Oh, the swipe up. Yes.
But then they were like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to get the 10,000 to get the swipe up, because we're going to put in Link. So then everybody started using Link, and nobody really cared about getting to the 10,000.
Yes. Yes. That one where it was like, I was like mentoring people on social media at that point. And so only my clients that had 10,000 followers could use that capability.
Yep.
And that always made me really angry, because again, like why, sorry, a dog just walked by. It literally looked like a bear. And I was like, did a bear just walk by?
Right
down, like a polar bear.
Right down downtown Raleigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Polar bear. And I just remember thinking like, again, like we're making this popularity contest, but now, I mean, is it better or worse that you can pay for it and get it? I don't know. I think the blue check mark is probably just the problem itself.
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
It's lost meaning.
I think at one point too, it was like a verification thing. Like Matthew McConaughey. This is actually Matthew McConaughey posting.
That has meaning to me.
That has meaning to me.
Like it should be like TSA pre-check.
Yes.
You should have to go to CVS to get the blue check mark and get fingerprinted. So that you can't
put in all
someone.
your documentation. You are
Yes.
who you say you are.
Honestly, though, because then if like you're whatever, a celebrity or an influencer or
Yeah.
whatever, at least you're not like pretending. Because I got messaged the other day by a cafe that
Okay.
of one of the posts that I did that got like a lot of traction, and they messaged me and they were like, "Hey, like our main account got hacked. Can you like switch
Oh,
it to this account?" And I remember thinking like, how do I know that this isn't a fake account?
the hack. Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me does have a like
Value.
productive, yeah.
Yes. I agree with you on that. Because there are some people who would go and create so many spam accounts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing? We have nothing better to do in our
Yeah,
lives than
apparently
this right
not.
here. Good grief. There are not enough hours in the day for me. And I'm like
I
sitting
know.
here, I'm like,
I don't have time to make lunch, let alone make a spam account.
I didn't even eat dinner.
Should get you some dinner.
No, okay. No, but I cringe at that title. I just really do.
Yeah.
Because even to the story you were telling, I do videos at Carolina Hurricanes games, and I'll do vlogs and sort of things like that. And YouTube channel, I had this little boy who came up to me at the beginning of this season, and he was like, "Are you Danielle?" And I'm like, people come up to me, and I'm like, I don't know how to answer this.
Right.
And I'm like, yes, I am. And he's like, I watch your YouTube. I love it. I love your hockey vlogs. And I'm like, kid, you're 10 years old, but thank you so much. Like, I'm like, that is the sweetest thing. And so I was asking him questions, and my dad's standing right next to me, and he's like, what the hell is happening right now?
Mhm.
Because he thinks I just make
Like
videos.
fool around on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
me too.
he was like, that little boy just came up and recognized you from an arena full of people. And I'm like, he sure did. He sure did. But that's my thing. I'm like, I want to create community.
Yeah.
And I want to.
And that I think is cool. Like
Yeah.
that in itself, like being, for lack of a better word, like being that influential that like a kid recognizes you. It means that what you're creating has value.
Totally.
And like when you create something that, you know, provides people with some kind of like helpful tip
Yes.
or list or something that they're interested in,
Yes.
like that to me is beautiful. And then that is great.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like a number that you need to hit or like,
Yep.
you know, the whole like quantifying it is what makes me uncomfortable. The
Yeah.
actual like community building I think is beautiful. It's
Yep.
why I still do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm like, I'd rather share stories and hear people's memories than I would focus on this video got this many views. I keep getting emails from people like, your videos are okay and they have this many views, and I'm like, I don't care.
Mhm.
I'm like, I could care less. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm putting it out there. Somebody might like it, somebody might not, but I really could care less, because I'm like, it's making me happy, and whoever's watching, I hope it's making them happy
Yeah.
and seen.
I got recognized at a pop-up market by this this woman who like welds. She does like
Oh,
welding art.
okay.
And I was really weird. Like I was with my partner and he was like, "You're being really weird." But he was like, "Meg, like, are you Meg from Raleigh On A Budget?" And I was like, "Maybe." I don't know. I was like really weird about it. And then eventually my partner was like, "Yes, that is who she is." And she was like asking me questions and stuff. And I was like, what you're doing is super cool. And one of the first things that came out of her mouth was like, yeah, but I don't really have much of a following. And I was like,
Who cares?
who cares? And also like, keep doing your thing. I mean, what she was
Yes.
doing was so cool.
Yeah.
And like so hard.
Welding is difficult.
I mean, yeah. And even just like learning it and having like the equipment for it, like,
Yeah.
it was really impressive. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a little bit of a, sometimes it could be a little bit of a mind game.
Yep.
When people like label, I like don't take on the label of
Totally.
influencer, but
Totally.
content creator I'm down with.
Yep. 9 to 5 for Meg. What does that look like? What does 9 to 5 workday look like?
Well, I work a 9 to 5.
Yep.
So it's work.
Well, and it's so funny because when we got here, John asked me, he was like, you're never here this late. I said, I think because Meg's like me and we both work 9 to 5 jobs, and we both got off of work and we're like, yep, let's do this.
Yeah, exactly. I work in content marketing for a startup here.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's really awesome. It's like, it totally fuels my passion. I've been there for about 6 months and it's called Levitate. A lot of people, I mean, it's a local Raleigh
Yep.
company. but they support small businesses within the platform. I won't go into all the Levitate details, but I feel like it definitely supports my love of like helping local businesses here thrive and kind of like, I don't know, giving that boost to anyone who's like trying to create something or trying to sell something or trying to have an impact in the community in Raleigh. And it just like nicely goes hand in hand. And so I usually do a lot of my content creation early in the morning.
Me too.
Really? Yeah. I'm definitely
I'm gonna get up laying in bed.
Totally. Or when I get back, like whenever I get home from work or like whenever I stop working, because it's like a hybrid remote schedule. I do a lot of my editing like early in the morning or in the evenings, and then I do a lot of like scheduling out. So it's like not as much as people think, because I've been doing it for many years in a different capacity than Raleigh on a budget. So I feel like I have like a system down.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I got like 8 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and then because I have West Coast people who are majority of my team, and so I'm like, okay, I've got a little bit of time here where I can get some stuff done. And then it's like after 5 o'clock, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make dinner, take care of the dogs, and do what I need to do on this side and scheduling LinkedIn videos or whatever it is. So that it's one less thing I have to worry about, making sure it's going out consistently throughout the week.
Yeah, that sounds very similar to my life.
Yeah.
Because I also have dogs.
I've seen your dogs.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a Siberian Husky.
Oh,
he's my baby. He's almost 5. I said that today and I was like, my God, I feel like you've been around for forever.
Yeah.
And then I have a Lab Pity mix who my mom found him on the side of the road, skin and bones, and was like, I'm going to bring him over to Danielle. And she sure did.
How old?
He's
like about
almost 2-ish. Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So so they're brothers, Blue and Charlie.
Blue and Charlie. Yeah. Little cuties.
My life. Yeah.
I mean, children.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I birthed these animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are my and it's awful because I told my sister, I'm like, I can be mad at them 1 second, and then I'll be scrolling on TikTok and see a dog video and get on the floor, and my husky's looking at me like, you're a crazy lady. Why are you crying while watching a dog video and then suddenly hugging me? I'm like, just let me lay here with you.
Yeah, like they're my whole world. So I'm the same way. Like Lacey is our most recent rescue, and we've had her for 6 months now, almost, which apparently, I don't know how anyone could know this. There's probably ways, but apparently she has like forgotten her past by now.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think her body has. She still like gets triggered by things, but apparently she doesn't remember being abandoned. But every time I look into her sweet eyes, I'm like, you lived such a hard life, and I love you so much, and I'm never gonna let anything happen to you. And I'm putting a Christmas sweater on you right now, and a hat, and here's some pepperoni. And she's like, this is sweet.
Thanks, Mom.
She's like, thanks. See you later.
Yeah. I want to ask you the question of, it's Raleigh on a budget. I want to hit on the budget part. Is it really on a budget? Or how did you come to be niche in that way of on a budget?
So I've toyed around with, was that the right move? Because it was a little bit of an impulsive decision, and I have never changed the handle.
Do people expect your content to be on a budget?
Yes, but a budget is relative to the human being.
Totally.
So that's where it gets a little bit tricky, right?
Yep.
I used to really lean into like free stuff. Like, what are free things to do in Raleigh? What are free, walking trails, or like events that are free? Parks, exactly. Stuff like that. What about like lower cost or like deals on stuff? Like a pizza place has a special or something. Happy hour apparently is not allowed here. Is this a known thing? Have you ever noticed there's no happy hours, like official happy hours in Raleigh? Apparently it's like a county
I've lived here for 26 years and I've never, ever known that.
Someone told me that the other day. Not sure if it's true or not, but I did like, it did click in my brain, because some places have like a variation of what would be a happy hour. But like when I lived in DC, it was like after a certain time, like after like 7 p.m. or after like 5 p.m. or whatever, between 5 and 7, like drinks were half off or something like that. It's not a thing here. So anyway, I leaned into that content a little bit more at the beginning, but I think you're a content creator. I'm sure you can relate to this. As my life has changed,
your content
so has my content. And so now I mostly post and recommend things that I like doing, which isn't always free stuff anymore.
Right.
So I have gotten roasted a couple times, rightfully so, for things that are like very clearly not budget friendly. So now I try to like definitely caveat things with like, this is definitely a little bit more expensive, but it's something that you could definitely treat yourself to for like an anniversary or a birthday. Like I went to like an event at the Willard. I posted about the Willard.
I have yet to go, and I want to so badly.
Definitely go.
Okay.
It was great. I loved it.
Okay.
I got roasted afterwards. They were like, this is not budget friendly. And I was like, you're totally right. Jazz brunch at the Willard is really not budget friendly.
Yes. Okay.
You're not wrong. So now I'm a little bit more conscious.
Got roasted.
I got roasted, but it's fine. It's nicely roasted.
Yeah.
But I've decided that I like it, and I like to lean into, I have to like keep coming back to, that's kind of what my mission is here, is to make sure that people, no matter how much Raleigh grows, no matter how expensive it gets to be here, because it's also just gotten like literally harder to be on a budget here.
Ooh.
Like
it's hard to live.
I got priced out of my last apartment complex.
Did you really?
They raised my rent by like 30%.
My God.
After a year. So like it is literally just harder. Like newer places that open up, like their lattes are going to be $1 more than the average latte. Like but I'm still maybe going to want to go there and get a drip coffee, you know, like what did I post about recently? I posted about a place in Chapel Hill, which was not in Raleigh, obviously, but
it's all right.
Yeah, I mean
it's all right.
It's in the area. Also got roasted for that. That's the thing about getting.
It's hard because I'll tell you right now, you have the triangle, and the Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Durham triangle sometimes just does not get along.
No, they don't like each other. I didn't know that.
I went to NC State, so like, Clemson beat UNC this past weekend, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Jumping for joy.
Yeah. We'll talk about it offline. I didn't go to any of these schools, so I don't really, but my partner went to NC State.
Yes.
Yeah. So he would, for him, go Pack.
Yep.
For Dylan.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, I posted about them, and someone was like, their coffee's so expensive. Yeah. And I was like, oh, whoops, I got a drip coffee. So it was like $1, but like I didn't really look at the prices of anyway. So it's a hard line to toe, but I definitely feel very committed to not like, no shade to anyone who is, but my mission with my account is not to be like here's a luxury giveaway. Here's like a getaway to the mountains that's $500 a night, that kind of stuff, because that's not realistic in my life.
Totally.
So it's not going to be something that I recommend as a recommender, as a professional recommender.
Has there been a outside of you coming here for the first time and like your experience with that, has there been a surprising or a shocking experience that you've had, like this is cool, or like I was not expecting to have this here?
I think there's been a lot of this is cool moments.
Okay.
I always say that I'm still in like the honeymoon phase with Raleigh. I just like haven't gotten out of it yet. I think I'm definitely like a little moments person. Little moments feel very like big and magical to me. And I have a lot of those in Raleigh. The thing that I didn't expect when moving here was how fast it's grown.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like I definitely moved here with the impression that Raleigh was like cheaper than where I was coming from, was smaller, had less traffic, which was true in 2021. Which was not that long ago.
During the pandemic when nobody was out.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing anything.
Exactly. Like we were still wearing masks then. And Raleigh was on all these lists for like, which was the downfall. It was on all these lists for being cheap. And to be fair, I was coming from Washington, D.C., which is a really, really expensive city. So
totally.
My point of view was already a little bit skewed.
Yes.
But It's definitely, I mean, I think a lot of people would say this is definitely a double-edged sword. Like, it's really cool that Raleigh's growing so fast. And like, I know that I'm a teeny tiny part of that reason. You know, like people recommending things here
Yes.
is part of that reason. But I did not think that I like would not ever be able to afford a house. You
It's
know?
nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So that's definitely been like a pro and con. And then I
Yeah.
think like you know, not to get too deep. I didn't expect to like fall in love with my,
Yeah.
you know, my partner
Yeah.
and want to live here forever.
How long have you two been together? Tangent.
Um tangent.
Tangent.
About a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So close to when you hold
Yeah,
on.
about it.
Math is
I
hard.
know, about a year after I moved here.
Okay.
A little less than a year when I moved here.
Okay.
So it'll be 2 years in like February, March-ish. And it'll be 2 years
Nice.
with him, and then it'll be 3 years in May from when
Okay.
so about
Yeah.
a year.
Math.
I know. People listening are going to be like, yes, 3 minus 2 is 1.
What in the world is wrong with these two? You know the math that they said would be helpful to you when you
Yeah.
went into school? I'm like, not helpful.
No,
We
not at
should have been
all.
really solidified on the basics of math before we went and said, let's go and put these numbers and letters together.
Oh yeah, I never should have graduated to letters. I definitely fancy myself a math person.
Yeah.
That also like shocks people a lot because I was never a creative like kid or
Oh, really?
yeah, at all. I was always like a math girly.
I was not. I was the math tutor girl. I was like,
Really?
get me help.
I was the tutor.
Oh,
I was
see?
like, I can't do anything creative for my life. But then I changed as an adult. I don't know.
Okay.
As we all do.
Has anybody ever told you what Cary stands for?
Carrie?
Cary, North Carolina? What the acronym we have for it?
Carrie, no.
We call it the transplant for New York and New Jersey
Really?
folks who move down here, because it's everybody who moves down here from north goes to Cary.
That feels accurate to me.
Yeah.
Except I would fall into that category and I don't live in Cary, but
Yeah.
well, I guess I'm not from New York or New Jersey. Technically, I'm from the Midwest.
That is true.
So I'm not as bad.
Yes.
I mean, not that it's bad. to be from New York, New
Everybody's
Jersey.
moving down here. I don't know if you've been to a
Yeah.
Carolina Hurricanes game.
I have been.
If you've ever go to a Rangers or Devils game.
It's mostly people from
Mhm.
yeah. I'm going to the Penguins Hurricanes game because I'm a Penguins fan.
Okay, so I went the other night.
Really?
Yes.
How was that? Was it a lot of Pittsburghers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They travel. We were just talking
Yeah.
about it. You travel well.
Yeah, they will go anywhere to harass another team.
There was one of my friends he's a season ticket holder. We're season ticket holders as well. He's up in 333. There was a fight up there. There was, so we sit on the end, and so it's my dad, myself, and my sister. And so next to my sister was a family of 4 Pittsburgh fans.
Yeah.
And we sat down, and I looked at her and I said, behave. And it ended up by like the 3rd period that I was the one who was getting ready to fight, because the dude had progressively during the game just become more and more obnoxious and more drunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Pittsburghers have bad manners.
It was bad. Like, at one point they were getting up while play was happening, and I was like, have we never been to a hockey game
Come on,
before?
hockey etiquette.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love that you love hockey because I love hockey too.
Oh my gosh. I was born and raised in a hockey arena, and it's just,
Was it the Hurricanes?
yeah.
You're one of the only people I know that's like a diehard Hurricanes fan.
Oh God, yeah.
Because there's really not. I mean, when you're in Pittsburgh, like everybody's a
Oh, yeah.
diehard Pittsburgh
Yeah.
fan for every sport.
My dad, and everybody's probably heard this because I say this all the time. My dad was born and raised in Michigan, so he was a Detroit Red Wings, Detroit Lions, Pistons, Tigers, cover the bases there. So when growing up, we were sports kids, and so he'd been down here for quite some time and was going to Carolina Hurricanes games when they were still in Greensboro.
Wow.
And so I went to my first game when I was 4 years old, and have been going ever since. I was 10 years old when I was at the game when I saw the Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup. I'm too young to remember a lot of it, but I remember a good chunk. But it's like my holding title. I was like, I've
That
seen
is like
it.
a claim to fame right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I have my hockey tickets. They're framed from the game. Yeah.
Wow, that is cool.
My
That is a unique story
yeah.
from someone who has lived here.
My first ever hockey jersey that I have is number 17. It's Rod Brindamore, who is my favorite hockey player. And I love that he's our coach. But it's signed by the entire 2005, 2006 team.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I need to frame it. I need to do
Yeah,
something with
you have
it.
to frame it.
Yeah.
You got to do
Yeah.
something with it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't mean that's one of the things that was surprising to me when I moved down here because
Yeah.
growing up in Pittsburgh, my family had like a lot of ties to the Pittsburgh Penguins. My grandpa
Yep.
worked for them. And he was like best friends with one of the players.
I love that.
Yeah, which was cool because growing up, they would like come to our Thanksgiving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we had season tickets. We went all the time. Diehard Penguins fans.
Yeah.
My dad works with the Pirates.
Oh, how
so we
cool.
would go with to the Pirates games and stuff. Steelers, obviously, it's like a rite of passage to be a Steelers fan.
Yes.
So moving down here was weird because it's like all college sports.
Oh yeah.
Pittsburgh, it's not like, think of a college team that's famous for like Pitt, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, basketball, but definitely not like a big deal.
Yes.
Like Penn State isn't anywhere near Pittsburgh. I would say that's probably like the college team that most people root for. So coming down here, everyone's like UNC, Duke, NC State. And I'm like, aren't those colleges?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah.
But it's also cool. Like I like that too. But it was an adjustment not having like professional team besides the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Really.
I say all the time to people, and I say this spiel probably every episode. But I like 26 years I've lived here. I'm born and raised here. And it's like, there is probably no other place that I'd like love to put roots down in. You're 2 hours away from the beach, 3-ish hours away from the mountains. Like I've got Carolina Hurricanes here, some of the best sports rivalry, but I've got Carolina Panthers, Hornets, and now MLS in Charlotte. Like I'm all right.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm pretty lucky to live where we are. And so I love it to death.
I love it too.
Well, and I love to like, to the point you were making earlier about us expanding and growing as a city. What's been nice is that some of the things that have come out of that is now they've got money that they can say, okay, we're going to expand the airport, which thank God, because that airport does need to be expanded. But it allows me that I travel quite a bit where I'm like, I can go and get to places pretty quickly because now we have more availability in places. Delta will fly pretty much a lot. So it's so nice that there is some good coming out of expansion.
Convenient. I flew to Philly this weekend. It took me like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It was easy. It was so easy.
Atlanta, I think, is a 40. Everybody's like, it's an hour and 30. I'm like, I am up and down in 45.
Yeah, easily.
I'm like, I don't know
There's good
who
stuff.
or what you were flying, but it's not it's not a good airline. It's not a good airline if it's taking that long.
Definitely not.
Yep.
No.
Raleigh on a budget. Do you have a growth mindset, or you're like, I'm just keeping this fun. I'm just keeping this how Meg wants to do it?
I wish I could say that I just go with the flow, but I say I'm like, I take it in seasons.
Yep.
Some seasons I am like so motivated. I'm like, I'm going to post 3 reels this week. I'm going to like get out and go see places. And then I get into like creative ruts and I'm like, but in those ruts, I try to be really like kind to myself. There's a reason that I'm not pushing to pursue this full time.
Okay.
And I don't want to pursue this full time because I want those creative ebbs and flows to be able to come and go when they want to and need to.
Yep.
I also
not force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that like it would almost definitely compromise like the quality of my content if I did do it like full time for, a living. Yeah. But that gives me the flexibility and the space to say like, I'm not going to post at all this week.
Yeah. And
on those weeks, I usually take the time to like ask my audience stuff. I get most of my recommendations from the people that follow me, like it's like it's such a conundrum because it's like they give me the recommendations and then I'll just go and I'll check it out myself. Yeah. So it's nice to connect, like you said, like build a community in that way. Whenever I'm like, I don't feel like creating something. I don't feel like captioning something. And it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're keeping it open. Like it's not, you're not closing down the passion and make, like you were saying, and going full time with it. Like you're
Yeah.
keeping it creative, you're keeping it fun, and you're keeping it in a space that fuels you still.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say that I don't like try to grow it.
Absolutely.
Because I do. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm like a huge numbers person. So I
Yes.
love to do like data analytics and look at my insights and do all that stuff and see what's working.
Yep.
And then I'll kind of duplicate it or
Yep.
like put a twist on it and kind of see how I can do it on like a little bit of a more efficient scale so that I'm not, it's really important to me to not be glued to my phone.
Okay.
Like being disconnected is really important to me.
Okay.
Because I think it's really easy as a content creator to get sucked in.
Absolutely.
Because all of us, I'm just going to like blanket statement this. I know that there's people that aren't on social media, but like the majority of us are consumers of content. We scroll, we look at other people's lives. We're consumers. When you become a content creator, you're adding like a whole other layer to that. So most likely your screen time is like almost doubling probably. So it was a really big mindset shift for me to go from being a creator and not being a consumer anymore.
Okay.
So I almost never consume other people's content.
Oh.
I like really try hard not to.
Yeah.
Which is funny because people know me as like someone who's on Instagram all the time. They see me posting.
Yes.
But then I'll like miss someone's like pregnancy announcement. And they'll be like, how did you miss that? And I'm like, because I'm not looking at anyone else's content. Like I'm very committed to being a creator.
Yeah.
But then kind of, I'm also just really susceptible to being like very anxious about consuming other people's content. And so it's just not that good for me. But that's like, I mean, that's definitely been an adjustment. But yeah, I go on, I do my creating, I do my scheduling. And then I like try to get out of there as fast as I can.
Yeah. I think I am a consumer on TikTok. And the other ones, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm a creator.
That's why I didn't download TikTok. I don't have TikTok. People will send me links like on like messages, you know, like to message me links. And I'm like, I don't have TikTok. I can't.
But my mom and my sister like are pretty active on Facebook, which is so funny because I'm like, God, Facebook's still a thing. But they'll be like, did you see so-and-so's? And I'm like, no, didn't see it.
Yeah. Like wedding engagements and stuff. And I'm like, no, I am a little bit active on Facebook just from a personal standpoint for like fundraisers. I have a pretty active like fundraising community in there. Cause that's another thing that I've like leaned into hard on Raleigh on a Budget is like this idea that like we can raise a lot of money.
Yes.
If you donate $5.
Absolutely.
Or if you buy a $10 raffle ticket. So that's been kind of cool being able to see the community that I've built come together and be like, okay, I know I'm on a budget, but I can still like contribute to something.
Yes. Yes. And to your point, even if it's just $5.
Yeah. That's one of the, I think the really cool things that's come out of Raleigh on a Budget.
I love that.
Is seeing people like care about, especially like local nonprofits and stuff. It's just like, it's just nice. Like it gives me like faith in humanity. So like social media, when I was solely consuming, made me lose my faith in humanity.
Oh, for sure.
Probably by design. But now that I'm like almost solely a creator, it has honestly made me regain my faith in humanity.
I love it.
Because we just raised a bunch of money for like dog shelters here.
And I love that you do that.
Like
I told my dad, I'm like, my biggest dream and goal in life is that I can buy a house with a very large plot of land, fence it in, and just rescue dogs.
Yeah. Which is how most of these dog rescues started.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just see, honestly, it's always like these like older women.
Yes.
Who just like took their retirement money and they did that.
Yeah.
And
my sister's the cat lady and I'm the dog lady. I'm like,
it's a great combination.
It is.
I love that.
Except when the dogs and the cats don't get along. And then there's a problem in the household where we have a baby gate at the bottom of the stairs. But you know,
we have one and we don't have cats. So
I'm that's why she's getting ready to move. And I'm like, so I can take the baby gate down. I was like, oh, hold on. Yeah. I might want the baby gate still.
Keep it.
Just in a different part of the house.
Yeah. Don't get rid of that. Definitely not.
Yeah. My last question for you is just what inspires you?
I've heard you ask this question.
Do
you ask every guest this question?
Yes.
Okay.
But I love it because it either stumps you or it doesn't. And I'm like, sometimes I'm asking really like in-depth questions. And then I ask this one and they're like, huh.
I think what inspires me is tough question. A lot of things are coming to mind. I think what inspires me is when the people around me take action that's very authentic to who they are and what they want for themselves. And that has really inspired me to attempt to always be as authentic as I can be.
I love that.
Which I think is definitely something that I let drive my content.
Okay.
Like, even if I get offered like a bunch of money to promote something
Absolutely.
that's expensive and not accessible to the average person, saying no to that and instead going to a local coffee shop and being like, look, these donuts are only $12.
Love that.
I'm buying myself a freaking donut.
I want a donut.
And eating that. I know. I had a really good one the other day at Jordan Lake Christmas Tree Farm.
Oh.
With the donut. Get the donuts, everybody. Go. It's an Apex. Anyway, they were really good. But I think like I can't take credit for doing that. I've seen the other people in my life do that, despite the fact that like 9 times out of 10, you'll be met with judgment.
Totally.
You know, even just like in your everyday life, I'm not talking about social media.
Yeah.
So I think that's what inspires me. And it's like something I strive for. Like I try to only be around people that I feel like I can be authentic. I try to only go places where I feel like I can be authentic. And it's caused me to be like really uncomfortable in situations where I feel inauthentic, which I think is probably a good thing. And like, yeah, that inspires me.
I love that uncomfortability in the in authenticity.
Yeah. Like I was at an event this past weekend that I had to be a little performative because it was a wedding. Okay. It wasn't my like thing.
Yep.
It was, it was someone else's thing.
Yep.
And you show up. Yes. You do the thing.
Yes.
And I found myself being really uncomfortable during parts of it because like I wasn't wearing what I would normally wear and I didn't do my hair the way my hair would normally be. And I was like, maybe this is a good thing because I've leaned in so much in my everyday life to being so Meg. Yeah. And I've actually gotten messages from people that say like, I love how like goofy you are on social media. That's cool. And like, right. Like you're not curated and stuff. And like, yeah, that's been from people around me.
But I love that you will like, you have limits and boundaries. Like you will share things. You won't share something that you don't think is right for your audience and community. And you won't share something that isn't up to par, you know what I mean, for your audience. And I think that's important because I think people will come and shove things at you and try to promote it and like, no, this isn't me. This isn't my people. This isn't who is interacting with me.
Yeah. And that's not to say that like I'm against making money from content.
Totally.
Because this is like a real juxtaposition. Is that the right word? I don't know if that's the right word. It is. I was trying to sound smart. I think it's right though.
It is.
First I was like, did I say it right? Then I was like, did I use it right?
I love what you just said. I'm trying to sound smart. Like you didn't graduate from college and you aren't running things in marketing. I was trying to sound smart.
I honestly, like, I couldn't spell juxtaposition.
Guys, it's Monday.
Yeah, seriously. Cut us a little slack. So how about this? So there's a lot of judgment in the content. You know this. There's a lot of judgment in the content creation community for being paid for stuff. And I'm very committed. Like, I'm not going to do something just because I'm getting paid for it. I'm not going to create content just because I'm getting paid for it. Yep. But I got offered to do a campaign for BurgerFi. Ooh. And someone in my life who I love and had very good intentions was like, are you like kind of selling out because you're going to do this thing for BurgerFi? It's not a local business. You claim to like only promote local businesses. Yep. And I was like, I thought about it and I go to BurgerFi a lot. They have really good vegetarian burgers and you can't find a lot of places that have good vegetarian burgers. I don't eat a lot of meat. So I literally walk to BurgerFi all the time. So when they reached out to me, it actually did really align. And if I had said no, I almost would have been doing it so that people would think that I was being authentic, which is like such a runaround.
Yes.
But I don't
Yeah.
know. So anyway, I did it, and I love BurgerFi.
They've got good stuff.
I
Milkshakes.
do. Beyond Burgers,
Mm,
milkshakes are good. Yeah.
mm. I'm never tossing away fries or anything like that.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what inspires you really quick? I know we have to wrap up.
No, mm. See, mine changes based on whatever season I'm in. What inspires me is the art of storytelling.
Mm.
And that is what fuels me. I like, I love to sit down like we're doing right now and to have a conversation and just hear your story. One of my favorite things is just nobody has the same path, and nobody's like, people can be sitting in the same seats, but not those three people got there the same way.
Mm.
And it's so interesting to me to hear the ups and downs, the things that people have gone through, the lessons they've learned. It's just inspiring to me, and I love it. I grew up a big family sitting around a table and just talking and laughing and things like that and sharing stories. And it's just followed through my whole life that I just love storytelling and hearing what makes a person a person.
Mm. I love that. I can really feel that in like your podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Meg, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. I'm so excited we got to be able to do this.
Me too.
But if you guys do not follow Raleigh on a Budget, please go follow Raleigh on a Budget. I'm going to have it linked down below. Go give Meg a follow and see what she's doing and where she is. But just thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Yes. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.